And
And we are live.
with some epic React content. Oh my god.
Ermagerd. It's
So,
keto.
this is gonna be the craziest reaction of all time with the hardest challenge run of all time. I've already
This is
left
more
the like on
difficult.
the video.
This is more difficult than really any challenge run
Yeah, can you beat
I've
Farm
ever.
Awakening with only Crown and Robin? I don't know, guys. Can you beat it with the two best units with really good, like, everything? It might be really hard.
Sometimes when I play Fire Emblem Awakening, sometimes I unintentionally beat it with pretty much just Grom and Robin.
Alright. This challenge run's gonna be crazy though. Alright.
Was this his
You
first
may be
time playing
surprised, or
Awakening?
heck, even I myself am surprised,
I
but
don't
I'm
know.
still relatively new to the Fire Emblem franchise. I know, crazy, right? I know many Persona and SMT fans are also Fire Emblem fans, and you would think that I'd be one of them because it has so many of the things I love in video games. Strategic and challenging gameplay, interesting and
Oh, it's
well-developed
Radiant
characters,
Dawn, and it's
stories
Path
that take
Radiance.
inspiration from
It's also
mythology and
Path
historical
Radiance.
Radiant.
events,
Notice how
cheesy
it's all
action and set
Tellius.
pieces,
Oh,
ridiculous
now
character
it's
Is that the
designs,
best
oh,
game?
hilarious dialogue, and anime waifus and husbandos. You can sign me up.
he
I've
said
been
my
wanting to
physical
branch out
bodies.
into
I want to
making
kill
content for
myself.
other
Wait a
games,
minute.
and seeing as how Fire Emblem Awakening recently celebrated its 10-year
I hate
anniversary in
those.
Japan, for my second non-Megaton challenge run, I figured I'd revisit one of the more controversial games in the series, but also my and many others' first Fire Emblem game. As for what to do, well, I was originally planning to do it with just Robin, but in pretty much every mission, Chrom is required to be deployed. This isn't the case with Robin, but there are a handful of missions where his or her deployment is required. So at that point I figured, why not just do a duo challenge instead of a solo challenge, especially since Awakening allows you to pair up. The rules here are that I am only
And
allowed
pair-up's
to use
broken.
either Chrom or Robin to fight the enemies. They don't always need to be paired up, but if anyone else interacts with the enemies at all, I have to start over. Can you beat Fire
I'm gonna
Emblem
cosplay
Awakening
that
with
character, by
only
the way.
Chrom and Robin?
And it's side.
But first, a word from our sponsor. And this
It's such an interesting sponsor segment.
enemy
Wow, it's crazy how he incorporated it so naturally.
$30
Crazy.
big thank you to Ray.
That was an epic sponsor segment, don't you agree?
Yeah.
We start up the game, choose new game, and choose
He doesn't
hard
have game
as the
mods.
difficulty. I know in these videos I usually play on the highest difficulty, but truth be told, I actually did try to play on Lunatic, but I just could not get past the first chapter. No matter where I sent my units,
Yeah, if
I
you're
just
trying to get
was
past the
not
first
able to get
chapter
past the
without
first area,
Frederick,
even when
it's
I bent the rules and allowed Chrom and Robin to pair
it's a
up with
little
Frederick and
bit
Lisa.
hard.
Maybe there are some hardcore Fire Emblem veterans that can do this, but I am not one of them. So I'm just going to play on hard, which is basically standard difficulty for other Fire Emblem games. Now,
female
as for
Robin.
choosing to play on casual or classic mode, it doesn't really matter because of this challenge, but I'm just going to go with classic anyway. But after that, it's time to make my avatar. Normally, games where I can play as my own character, I play as the male, but because of how often Chrom and Robin are going to be working together, I'm going to want to get their support to rank S. Unfortunately, same-gender romances weren't in Fire Emblem at this time, and since this is when two units decide to marry, I can't get there if I'm the male.
Oh wait, is
So
it gonna be?
instead,
It's
choose
the
female.
funny number.
Say hello to Nyarla.
It's the funny 420.
Anyway, the game starts with us in some kind of dream sequence, where Robin and Chrom are fighting Jafar. This battle is the tutorial, so it's pretty much impossible to fail, but it does end with us stabbing Chrom in the stomach. We're then woken up by Chrom and Lisa, who we've never actually met
Isn't it
before
funny?
outside
Why
of
aren't
that
you
dream
laughing?
sequence a second ago. We can't seem to remember anything aside from Chrom's name and our own. Chrom doesn't seem too bothered by the fact that a complete stranger knows his name and agrees to let me accompany him back to his kingdom. On the way there, we come across a village that just got raided by bandits, so we fight them as our first battle. Now, as you may or may not have expected, these first several battles are going to be the hardest, for two reasons. One, we won't be able to use Frederick. At this point in the game, Frederick is far stronger than any of the other characters. He is straight up immune to most attacks and more than capable of killing most enemies in one hit. He's basically an early game crutch, and you're supposed to send him into the hornet's nest while everyone else picks off
and
the
they're gonna
remaining
lose
enemies.
instantly.
The other reason is that you can't select which units you deploy either.
Or actually,
so
no,
I have
is
to
that
have
6
whatever
spaces
units the
away?
game wants me to have on the battlefield at
Oh,
all times.
I don't think they
If they
prefer
interact
attack
with the
Chrom,
enemies
I
at
see.
all, then I
Because that
fail
was
the
in range to
challenge, and
attack
I have to
Frederick,
reset
but yeah,
the
they'd
game.
rather
So
attack
all I
Chrom.
can do is just have them hide in the corners and hope the
And
enemies don't
unlucky.
notice them. This first area of the map is what gives me the most trouble. I have to be very careful about where I place Chrom and Robin, because I can't place them in a place where all the enemies will gang up on them at once. But I also can't place them too far away, because if I do
I feel
that,
like
the
this is
enemies will go
exaggerating.
for
This map's
Lisa and
actually kind of
Frederick
easy.
instead. I try approaching it like any
Yeah.
normal battle, but that expectedly leads to the enemies ganging up on one of
It's
them,
just kind of
resulting
got
in one of
unlucky in
them
bad
dying.
positioning.
Most of my attempts are just
If,
ending with
yeah,
me
I feel like
stepping
he's
too far forward
overcomplicating
and
it.
dying to the enemy.
Yeah.
You can
The two axe
just
guys
bum
are very
rush this
strong.
entire
There's
map.
also a mage in the back of the
You can
area
rush
who
But
just
attacks
keep in
Chrom
mind, no
everywhere
Frederick
away.
and no
In
healing
most of
from
these attempts,
Rissa.
I get
But
weakened
even
by the
without
axe
those
guy,
Oh.
and
two,
then the
like
mage
you have a
shows up and either
vulnerary, it just
finishes
means you have to
Chrom
take it a
off
bit more
or
slowly.
attacks
But
Frederick or Lisa, forcing me to restart. Well, I
Oh
try
my
and try
God.
again, and eventually I do figure out an effective strategy. For the first sword guy, I have Robin attack through the vegetable
okay,
stand.
no,
Then
that was
Chrom
just their
goes
first
around
like
and
couple
finishes him
attempts.
off.
They got the
Then I
strategy
use them
down.
to finish off the axe guy on the bottom with them next to each other. The
Okay,
mage
yeah,
attacks
this is more
Chrom
like
but doesn't
it.
kill
This is
him.
more like it,
Then the other
actually.
axe guy attacks
you
Chrom
can-
but
you
gets
can
finished
just-
off.
Yeah.
Then for the
you
mage, I
can just
weaken
do
him with
this.
Robin and have Chrom clutch the battle by finishing him off with a single hit. Unfortunately now, both Chrom and Robin are pretty beat up, and while Chrom does have a few vulneries, it's not going to be enough to allow us to deal with the remaining enemies. But thankfully, Lisa also has some vulneries. I'm going to allow training with other units in this instance because technically it's a part of the inventory, but I haven't had a chance to access the inventory yet. So I give some vulneries to Robin, take a few turns to heal up, pair up, and then approach the enemies. But I do it so that I'm in range where only one of them can hit me. There are only 3, and I'm able to make easy work of them.
Yeah.
And because Chrom has weapon advantage over the boss, he goes down easily too.
Yeah, easy game.
Later that
It
night,
is
we're woken
easy.
up by an invasion of zombies. Lisa gets attacked, but is saved by a very feminine-looking dude who calls himself Marth. As for the mission, well, it's actually much easier than the first one. Not only because Chrom and Robin are higher level, but also
There's
because the
forts, and
Risen
you
are
just lay on the
actually
fort the
weaker
entire
than the
time.
bandits. And here, there are also forts we can hide in, which boost our defenses and heal us every turn. What I do here is
Yeah, it
pair
heals you
Robin and
every
Chrom
turn.
up, hide
Isn't
in the
that a fun
fort,
fact that
and just
everyone knows about forts? Is that it heals you every single turn?
So
It's like
we're live on YouTube.
something that's very clear and obvious, like the game makes apparent.
I've played how many Fire Emblem games now?
Well, the Path of Radiance, Three Houses, Awakening.
Genealogy,
Well, you
Fates,
didn't beat Genealogy yet.
Genealogy, Fates.
Fates.
I still played
You're
it.
almost done with Fates too. Like, how many chapters
Yeah,
in are you in Genealogy?
it was like 10.
That's a lie,
Uh,
because you'd be at the end of the game, if not
yep.
being the game already. Do you know why that is?
I'm on chapter 1, by the way.
By the way, every chapter is like a combination of like a bunch of chapters in one. The chapters in Genealogy are really long.
Genealogy is weird.
The entire first generation's like 4 chapters, I think, like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's like it's probably the weirdest. Like the top 3 weirdo Fire Emblem games,
Gracia.
or actually top four, because I really want to include all 4 of them. Like I'm, I should just group them. It's a category. It's not like a ranking. It's a category. The weird Fire Emblem games are Gaiden slash Echoes, because it's a remake. Um, Genealogy, Radiant Dawn, and Three Houses. Other games also have gimmicks and like
BS
special
Fire
quirks
Emblem.
about them.
BS
But the
Fire
thing is,
Emblem.
they all stay close to a traditional Fire Emblem formula. Those are the ones that do the most oddities compared to the rest of the series. Some of them
BS
less so
Fire
than
Emblem.
others, but yes, Fire Emblem's like pretty like the Fire Emblem.
It is a default. It is like
I'd say the
it's like
most
a
default Fire Emblem is like the Game Boy Advance games.
yeah. BS Fire Emblem is like it's like the first DLC, you know? Right?
What does that mean?
It means you get it transmitted from a fucking satellite.
Oh, you're saying BS Fire Emblem. I thought you were saying DS Fire Emblem.
Same BS Fire Emblem.
Like Okay. No, that's peak. That's peak.
It's
That's the game that
Kino.
introduced Malice. And then Malice got added into the Shadow Dragon remake, which was cool. Because that character exclusively was only in BS Fire Emblem.
Which is a game that is it Lost Media?
No.
No.
Wait.
How did someone save that?
I don't know. I just know I've seen footage of the game. So there's at least footage. It could not be playable, but there is footage of the game and the game being played, at least, at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. Alright.
Wait for the enemies to come to us. Even
And it's
with all the
Furion, who's a
enemies
good
ganging
unit,
up
and
on us
Sully,
at
who's
once,
also a
they
good
can
unit.
hardly do anything.
Yep.
2 new units also show up during the battle, Sully and Virion, so I just pair them up and send them to the back corner of the map next to Frederick and Lisa.
And
then
by the way,
Risen don't
Robin
go anywhere
gets 2
near
times
it.
experience
We beat
when
this
paired
mission
up,
on the first
so...
try. After that, we make it to the kingdom, meet the Exalt, get the revelation that Chrom and Lisa are actually prince and princess of this kingdom, and get sent on our first mission against Plagia. We also get our first support conversation, where Robin and Chrom reach C rank. With Robin and Chrom being C rank, they're now shielding each other and attacking together much more often. And the enemies are also much easier to deal with in the third mission. The problem is that the game still isn't letting me manually select my units, and with all the units I currently have, it's not exactly easy keeping them out of the enemy's reach, especially here because not only is this map small, but I have enemies attacking from 2 sides. Once again, I have to be very careful about where I attack from because
so
if
far
any
the real
of my
challenge
other
is getting
allies
them
get
not
in
to
the
attack
enemy's
other
attack
units.
range, they will go for them, and I'll have
I
to
feel like
restart.
this map would be really
help that
difficult.
I have a new unit join a few turns in. What I do here is I send Chrom and Robin forward separately next to each other so that most of the enemies are drawn to them. I then very carefully place my other allies in the tiny spots that aren't in the enemy's line.
Notice how early game is really easy.
But thankfully I have some
early game's really hard with just Robin and Chrom, and then like mid game it's you're just gonna tear through the entire game.
Hard. The hardest part is getting the enemies not to attack. Robin and Chrom are soloing pretty efficiently.
Easily finish off the commander.
Yep. It wouldn't be the same if you had to like play the game with like, let's say, only
Once
like
the mission is over, Chrom and Robin rank up to level B.
and
With this,
okay, Vake's
Chrom
actually one of the best
working
users.
together in almost every battle. Thankfully for the next mission, I can now manually select my units, so I now only need to worry about any units that join mid-battle.
No, Donald's broken
does
when he gets off the ground.
Sumia, but as long as I keep her near the start,
you gotta
the
go
enemies
with, like,
won't bother her.
Stalin
You also may have noticed Kellum on the bottom of the map. Yeah, you can get him to join by talking to him, but I don't want that, so I'm just going to ignore him. And once I open the doors, I am able to make easy work of the enemies. The Heavy Knight does give us a tiny bit of trouble, but with the frequency we're attacking at thanks to our bond, he goes down in only a couple of turns. And it's the same deal for the commander.
Yeah.
You beat the game with only Swordmaster Stall.
Side story. A small village is attacked by bandits, and you're joined by a farm boy named Don.
Oh, okay.
Now,
if we get one like on this video,
game, provided he levels up at least once
we
during this battle.
will
That is not easy,
an
but here
Iron
the
Man
challenge isn't for him to level up, it's to keep the enemies off of him.
We will.
The battle starts with you in this fenced-off
One
area
like
with lots of
is
enemies
all it
approaching
takes.
from multiple sides.
Iron Man
The only way I can
game,
prevent
though.
them from reaching Donald is by sending Chrom and Robin in different directions and basically killing the enemies
It's
before
the
they
only
get to him.
Emblem
Once you've taken
game.
care of the enemies in this area, it's
not
pretty easy.
Thracia.
There are a
I've
lot
never
of
even
enemies
played
in this
Thracia
mission,
regularly.
but they're all very low level, and not at all a problem for
Okay,
Chrom and Robin
what
when they're
about the
working together.
Radiance?
And after the battle, their support advances
we
to
could
rank
do Path
A.
of
We
Radiance.
then head to Castle Ferox, where the
I
Khans
have
agree
Path
to
of
form an
Radiance
alliance with our
ROM,
kingdom
so
if we
it
win
would
their
be-
tournament.
Radiance
And our
physical.
opponent is none other than the same blue
I also
guy
haven't
from
played
earlier.
through Path of
Overall,
Radiance
this
fully
battle
before,
is pretty
so
easy. The only enemy that really poses much of a threat is the armored guy,
What's
mainly because during
What's
the
like the
battle,
best
Robin's
game
thunder
to
breaks. But I
Iron
get lucky
Man?
and pick up another one off of one of the enemies,
I
and I'm able to make quick
don't
work of both
know.
him and Marth.
I don't know. But it has come.
After we beat him, we're congratulated by Nick Fury, the West Con. He agrees to support the kingdom and gives us another unit that we won't be using. We go back home to inform Mirian, and she goes with us on a mission to free our
Wait,
friend
to
who's going
inform
to be
who?
using. We go back home to inform Mirian, and she goes with us on a mission to free...
And Miriam.
Bro.
I need to see how
that we won't be using.
Wait.
We go back home...
How do you get a myriad from that spell?
Amarin.
No offense to the guy, all right?
No, yeah,
but
no,
his
like
pronunciations of a lot of these things have been a little bit off. A little bit off.
Have you don't they say Amarin in one of the cutscenes?
Probably, yeah. I
Don't
can't
speak
remember
her
off the
name.
top of my head, but they most.
Wait, no, I get it. He's just listening to what Crom said. Don't speak her name.
Oh, true. He's trying to avoid speaking. Ah, I see. It's actually he actually outsmart me there. Like,
He got you.
yeah, he got me. He got me.
Home to inform Mirian, and she goes with us on a mission to free our friend who is being held hostage. I stopped to do a challenge battle on the way, and during this battle,
he's doing
Crom and
challenge
Robin
battles
reach...
too. Oh, he's doing
hostage.
challenge battles
I
too.
stopped to do
Okay,
a challenge battle on the way,
it's
and
actually
during this
the
battle,
easiest game I've
Crom
played
and
in my
Robin
life.
reach S rank, and you know what that means?
Listen,
Crom?
By the way, do you know what happens when there's C support?
They get married.
Yeah.
Or their B support?
Really?
It's either C or B. Crom walks in on her in the shower.
It's C support.
My back and the sword at my side. Together, my love, we shall build a peaceful world.
Why did they do
Just
that for
you
the
and me.
Avatar character?
What?
I know it's unintentional
Now, in the
in
next
that
chapter,
he
we meet
feels
the Mad
bad
King of
and
Plegia
stuff,
and his girlfriend, and they demand we
but, like,
give them Ulysses' royal treasure.
it feels
the
weird to
Fire
do that with like the character
Unfortunately,
you're
this
supposed
doesn't
to
work for them, which
self-insert
means
with.
it's time for another battle. This is probably the hardest mission in the game for this challenge, mainly because you have to worry about Maribel and
Yeah,
Rickon,
okay,
who
this
are
one I can
surrounded
see
by
being a big
enemies,
problem
some
because
of which are flying.
it's hard to even keep Rickon and or Maribel alive, let alone also making them never engage in combat. I can see this one actually being difficult.
Can't he just make them like die? Like make them unequip their
No,
weapons
he
and
said
die?
that if they ever get into combat, he resets.
That's
This
really
will provide
weird.
an actual challenge. First actual challenge of the run.
Meaning they can just straight up ignore the terrain. Even if this was a normal playthrough, it would still be difficult to keep them alive. Thankfully, with Crom and Robin being S rank, they're pretty much always working together when next to each other.
Yeah, they're actually
but there's
so
only so much
broken,
ground they can cover at once.
Look,
Basically, what I have to do here is...
This is like chapter what? Like
Level 17.
This is chapter 6, by the way.
Level 17.
Or is it chapter 5?
I think I
Let's
was
see.
I think I was like level 9 or 10 when I did this chapter.
Chapter 3, chapter 4. Yeah, this is chapter 5. Yeah, about this point in the game, you're probably about level 10-ish. Like level 8 through 11 is like kind of where your units are at.
Yeah.
I believe.
Level 7.
Send Crom and Robin up the hill to the second level as soon as the battle starts.
Ready to like
Maribel and Rickon pair up and hide at the bottom corner of the hill.
Never mind. This is
and to
actually
make matters
easy
worse,
because
new enemies
they
are
just kill
constantly
everything that
spawning
comes
in from
into
the
their line
forts.
of sight.
In most of my attempts, it always seems to go okay, but there's always that one enemy that's able to slip by and attack. There's even one part where I only prevent the enemy from reaching them by standing in the way. After dozens of attempts, I'm eventually able to hold them off, and once they stop spawning in, I am finally able to finish the battle. And after 18 turns, I will.
Yeah, the one challenge is making it so they can't attack, which makes sense, because freaking it's
After
hard
this,
to keep
there is yet another side story. This time, I have to save a merchant from some bandits. Once again, this fight is pretty easy, and my reward for beating it is that Anna's shops start showing up. It's random when and where they pop up, but they
by the way, that's not even true. Anna's secret shops can show up before this. I'm gonna be honest, I almost never do this one. I only do it on like challenge runs where I need levels, but like if I'm casually playing through the game, I never do the spare log.
Yeah, 'cause you don't like Anna.
And or rare
You don't
items that you
recruit
can't
Anna
get
with
from
this
ordinary
paralog, though.
shops, like
You only get
high-level
her on the
weapons,
third paralog.
second and master seals, and permanent stat increasing items.
There's 3 paralogs
Anyway,
that
for the
happen
next
up
battle,
there.
Crom and Marth
The
get
first
attacked,
2
but Marth loses his
just
mask,
give you like some
and it's
experience
actually
and
revealed
items,
that
and
he is
that's
a
like
girl. Not sure why that disguise was necessary, and okay, can we just stop trying to avoid spoilers? We've all played Smash. We all know it's actually Lucina, but whatever. The castle is being attacked, and we need to protect
That's
the
true.
VIP.
We
As
have
long
all
as you
played Smash.
position
We
your
all know.
characters in the doorways,
He knows
the enemies
exactly
shouldn't
what
be
we're
able to come anywhere
thinking.
near her. There's also a character that joins mid-battle, but I just have her stand next to the VIP away from the heat.
Yeah.
For the early enemies, all you really need to do is stand in the doorway, picking them off one at a time, and this battle will go smoothly. Lucina
And
also
you
helps
solo
with the
this
battle
map.
He's
too,
not
and
even
because
having
she's
Crom do
AI
anything.
controlled,
He's
her
just standing
attacks
in the
don't count as
corner,
breaking the
just
rules. Pretty much all you need to do here is just stand near the entrance,
messing
pick off the
around.
enemies as they come to you, and during
Literally,
this
why
battle,
you're not
Robin
having Crom
reaches
do
level
anything?
20. Once all the enemies are dead, the very familiar-looking commander will come to you, and we beat him just as easily.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck?
This is hard mode, by the way.
The next chapter is another easy one that has us fighting off an ambush next to a
You
king.
played on normal.
And during it, Crom reaches level 20 as well. Mirian decides to head back to the
Oh,
castle
Crom
and gives
reached level
Crom the
20, by
fire
the way,
emblem.
and it's
Once
chapter
we get
7.
to Castle Ferox, to the surprise of nobody, we learn that Castle Ylistel
To
has
the
fallen,
surprise
and
of
Mirian is going to be
absolutely
publicly
nobody.
executed. So we have to head there to stop
Or
it,
no
even though
one.
it's probably a trap.
Sorry. It's a
After the
reference, by the
cutscene, a
way.
new Anna shop pops up, and she has both a Master Seal and a Second Seal.
And the
Now,
game's over.
what Master Seals and Second Seals do is they allow you to change classes. Second
And
Seals let you change to
won.
a viable class of the
And you
same
won the
tier,
game.
while Master Seals let you advance to
You
a
just
higher
won
tier
the
class
internet.
if you're high enough level. I use the Master Seal to promote Crom to Great Lord, and what's cool about
Oh
Robin is
my
that she can take on pretty much
god.
any class in the game. I
Pegasus
decided to
Knight.
change her into a Dark Mage since I've mostly been using magic
Ordinoff's
throughout the
taking.
game, and they also have a surprisingly
Oh
high
my
defense stat.
god.
I say surprising because just look at that outfit. But anyway, the next mission takes place in a desert, and during it 2 new units show up. When I see them,
this can
I
be
do get a
difficult
bit
making them.
worried,
The
but
first
keeping
turn
them
they
out of
can
enemy
get
fire
away.
is actually pretty easy because of how the sand inhibits enemies' movements. Just to be safe,
Oh
though,
yeah,
I
they
do
can kill
keep Crom
everything
and
up
Robin
there
apart
because
so that they can
Robin's
cover
now a
more
magic
ground.
class. They
And
can
once I get
traverse.
Gregor
Okay, I
and
see.
Noe
Yeah,
to the
never
back of the
mind.
map,
Never
I don't
mind.
have anything to worry about. The next morning,
I
it is
forgot.
time
They're
to save
broken.
Emiri.
Yeah. Oh, Flavia contributed. Run dead.
Let's go.
And now it is time to attack. This is another battle that takes place in the desert, so movement is a bit difficult, but it's not
by the way.
Literally just pair Crom up
There's
into
also an
Robin,
AI
and
ally
Robin
who
can
I'm not
go
gonna
through the
bother,
desert
and
tiles
a
because they're a
really
mage.
attractive looking dark mage on the enemy team. Now, this battle itself isn't anything too special, but I do have to do what is probably the most painful thing I've ever done in any of my videos.
Wait.
Probably the most painful thing I've ever done.
Bro.
Okay, so I noticed that they didn't change the boons and banes, so that means she had a boon in HP. And I guess Dark Mage has a good HP growth, which means she has over 100% HP growth. So she could get +2 on HP during level ups now. Which isn't the best stat to get +2, because like with how many levels Robin's getting and stuff, she's gonna max out HP anyway. But like this just helps fasten it.
In any of my videos.
Yeah, that is painful.
I did this in my first playthrough. I didn't know she was recruitable. I didn't know Tharsha or Gaius were recruitable on my first playthrough. I just killed them.
After that, I just pick off the remaining enemy forces, including the commander who goes down extremely easily. But that doesn't mean we've succeeded. We get a choice of whether or not we want to sacrifice Emirian,
And your choices
but
don't
it
actually
doesn't
matter
really
because
matter
I'm an
because the
analyst.
outcome is the same.
By the way. It doesn't
This
even
is how
matter
to
at the
do
end.
the illusion of. This is how to do the illusion of choice right.
It doesn't even matter at the end because I'm a nihilist. What do you mean it's how you do the illusion of choice right?
It is. It's a
Because
good.
it's
It's
literally
a.
saying you don't sacrifice HP. It would have been better if you just say, because if you say sacrifice Emrin, it doesn't matter. It like if the dialogue makes it so your choice didn't matter, and then if you say don't sacrifice Emerald, the dialogue still. I just feel like it would have been more natural if Robin was just like, just said itself like, don't sacrifice yourself, because that's also just the more makes sense one with the dialogue and what happened. It just it
Evil
sucks.
Robin,
It
evil
sucks.
Robin, evil
It's
Robin, evil Robin.
I hate this game in the fact that like you get like multiple choices throughout the only choice that matters is the very last one. There are 3 choices prior to the last choice that you can make. All 3 don't matter. All 3 do absolutely nothing. The one that I would say is the most fitting is the one with Lucina, because that at least actually builds the character a little bit in different directions and stuff, and I think is neat with the dialogue in that scene. But like
Yeah.
the other 2, I I just Anyways, this cutscene's peak. People who say Awakening sucks, they're actually all wrong.
All my people. No.
I complain, but I complain out of love.
This is the best Fire Emblem game.
This is true. It's fun if you don't do extra battle maps, if you limit reclassing, if
After that, there's not much we can do. Basilio lets us know that he secured an
if you do
escape, so
everything
we
to restrict
go and we
yourself from
get what
going
is
broken, and
probably
it's
my
the best
favorite mission in
boss.
the game. The atmosphere, the rain, the map, the music, and especially the dialogue all really make this chapter great. I love how the enemy soldiers begin to question what they're doing, and considering that an important character just died and we're all probably exhausted from battle and desperately trying to escape, this really makes for one of the most immersive chapters in the series.
I'm going to complain. I'm going to complain.
Yeah. Yeah.
After you beat the previous chapter, Anna's Paralog unlocks.
Yeah.
Where you recruit her. I think that is a really bad time for that. Because
It
it just
is.
kind of breaks it up. Because these maps should be played back to back.
It's what
But
I
if you
did.
want to be
I played them back to
optimal,
back.
if you want to be optimal and you want to actually like do good, you beat the first one, Emerald dies, and then you go and then you beat Anna's State, and then you come back to this one. And it just kind of breaks it up, and it's very weird. But like, so I feel like Anna's Paralog should have been unlocked after this chapter instead.
Or like after the chapter that's right before Emerin, the one that Emerin dies in.
I feel like that's too early for Anna though.
Yeah.
Because Anna's broken. Anna's so good. And the chapter after this one is where you start getting promoted enemies.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, I feel like chapter 11, like after you beat chapter 10, that's a good spot for Anna to appear, not after you beat chapter 9. It's a very minor nitpick, but it's still
You're
a very
At
good
least
biased.
that's the case from a contextual standpoint. From a gameplay standpoint, this chapter is extremely easy. Midway
If
through
I
the battle,
could,
some of the
I'd
enemies
like
start
to,
retreating, and the ones that don't are all pretty
like,
easy.
I
I
wish
pretty
I
much
was,
just
like,
have Robin
knowledgeable
and
enough
Chrom
to make,
paired
like,
up
an
with Robin
edited
taking the
version of
lead, and
Awakening
the
that just
enemies are all
fixes all
going
my
up to her and
nitpicks
getting
about it.
destroyed in the process. At the
To
top
make it
center
the
of the map,
actual
I camp
Yeah.
out
best
in a
peak
fort,
Fire
let
Emblem
the
game.
enemies come to me, and once I feel I've dealt with enough of them, I go for the commander and finish him
Do you
off.
think Sacred Stones is the best Fire Emblem game?
No. It's one of my favorites, but it's not the best.
What do you think the best is?
We make it back home where things aren't looking good.
Actually, I'd say there's actually a different answer between the best Fire Emblem game and my favorite Fire Emblem game. And also
Okay, so what's your
depends.
favorite?
My favorite's Awakening.
And what's the best? Radiant Dawn. Radiant
No,
Dawn.
I was thinking maybe Path of Radiance. It's
That is
hard.
true.
Because I'm trying to think, because gameplay's important, but so is story. Like, gameplay-wise, the best is probably Fates.
And then
Story-wise, it's probably Genealogy.
like what's like the perfect balance? Path of Radiance.
Path of Radiance, probably, but I haven't played the game myself, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going off of what I hear. The only complaint I hear about Path of Radiance is it's a bit too easy. But other than that, I've heard only good things.
My favorite.
It turns out that Emirian's sacrifice has made her a hero, and the Plaguean soldiers are deserting en masse.
Emirian's
Seems like a
sacrifice,
good
by the way.
opportunity to lead a counter-invasion, and that's exactly what we do.
Feels disrespectful
Now,
to say her name like
chapter
that.
aren't difficult. What is difficult is the fact that new enemies are constantly spawning in, and Olivia is also a mandatory unit for this chapter. You'd think that as long as I keep her hidden away in the corner, it'd be fine, but there are just too many enemies spawning in, and they're bound to make it to her at some point. For an army that's losing soldiers
No,
en
that's
masse,
a
there sure
reference.
is no shortage of them here.
Your,
Anyway, it does take me a couple
run.
of tries, but eventually I figure out that once I take out the king, his reinforcements will stop spawning in.
My strength is yours.
He's crit.
To hell with all of it.
The Elwyn looks really blue.
Once he's
in
down,
this.
it's only a matter of time before I finish off
Is
the
it
remaining
an
forces
emulation
and
thing?
put an end to the war.
Maybe.
The enemy surrenders, and Crom takes the throne. Fast forward
I
2
don't remember
years, and
looking-
Crom and
actually, I
I
don't
get
think I
married,
saw
and
you
together
use
we
that
have
one.
a kid.
I'd have to see your
Lucina.
thing.
Yeah, I
Oops.
think you already know what the deal is here. But anyway, we're summoned at Castle Ferox, where Virion tells us about some guy named Walhart who's been going around conquering every nation he sets foot in, and he wants our help to stop him, so we agree. Now, you may have noticed that in that last battle against the Mad King, Robin reached level 20 as a Dark Mage, so I decide to use a Master Seal on her. I have a choice to make her into either a Sorcerer or a Dark Knight.
Sorcerer, Nas
Now,
tank.
some people would argue that a Sorcerer is the ideal
Oh
choice
my
because of their access to Dark Magic, but the Dark Knight has better defense, a movement of 8, and access to swords. So I decide to become a Dark Knight instead. I also do another optional side story where I save a different Anna from some bandits, and this one decides to join our party. But anyway, for the next story mission, we have to secure a harbor from Valmy's forces. There are a lot of enemies here, and they're slightly tougher
like
than the
this map a
Plagueans,
lot.
but still not a problem at all.
This
They're
map
doing
really
a little
reminded
bit
me of
damage to
Path of
Crom, but they
Guardians.
literally cannot put a
It
scratch
felt
on
very
Robin.
much
She either
like
dodges or completely nulls the enemy's attacks and finishes them off very easily.
like it was definitely. I feel like on a lot of my earlier playthroughs, this map was so hard. I've kind of gotten the groove of it now, and it's much easier. But I like kind of like how each enemy's like are in kind of squads with like one promoted enemy, and then the rest of them are unpromoted and
Yeah.
stuff. And it feels very, you have to be mindful about the fights you pick, and um you want to make sure you have tanky units who can tank a bunch of enemies and a promoted enemy and stuff. And I like it. It's not like anything too
I
crazy,
almost feel
but like it
bad for
has
these
like some
enemies. I
choke
mean, they
points and
just don't
stuff at
stand
the
a chance.
beginning, and it's just
I
like
finish
it's
off
a
the
good
commander,
map.
and
I
after
like
that, it's not long before I finish off the remaining forces. Once the battle is over,
Notice
Chapter
how he's
has
not talking
apparent
about the
that we won't be able to
challenge.
fight off an attack from the sea.
Which
So we
chapter
go to
has
Plagia to
gameplay?
ask for help. And their new king is that
He's
same
just saying
wizard
what
guy we beat
happens
the
because
crap
there's
out of
actually no
earlier.
challenge. 'Cause it's the
Surprisingly, he
easiest
agrees to
goddamn
help
thing in
and
my
gives
life.
us a whole bunch of ships.
It's so
He
easy.
also
Which chapter has
introduces us to someone
Yenfei?
who not only looks like me, but
Yenfei?
also has the exact same
Yenfei.
name. Wow,
Yenfei?
what a
Okay.
funny
So we just did chapter 12, so that's 13 is here, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, chapter 18.
coincidence. But that's not the end of
Yeah.
it. Valadar also seems to be a big fan of Star Wars.
At least I'm pretty sure it's chapter 18. It might be one or two off.
Man, I wonder where this is gonna go. Well, let's not think about it until we've dealt with that Walhart guy. After that, we're just randomly attacked by Risen, and we have to do what is probably the easiest chapter so far. The only thing I need to worry about is Henry, who is a mandatory unit who I have to keep out of the enemy's line of fire. This chapter takes place in a canyon with enemies on both sides, while the commander stands on a bridge in the back. All I need to do to win is kill the commander, so what I do is I charge forward with Robin and
Not even
snipe
paired
the
up.
commander on the bridge, and this
One
battle is over
damage.
in just 2 turns. After that, there's an assassination attempt on Crom from a Risen, but Lucina jumps in again and saves him. And then gives us the
Risen.
not-so-shocking revelation that she's
true.
Crom's daughter who went back in time to save him. Because without him, the fell dragon, Grima, gets resurrected and...
By the way.
Grima, by the way.
Grima, by the way.
Oh, it's big.
It's Grima.
No, it's Grima. He clearly pronounces it
It's
Grima.
Grima. It's Grima. It's Grima. It's Grima.
also slightly wrong, because it's not Crom itself that makes the future bad. Like, if Crom dies, they could probably still secure the future, but, like...
Yeah, things aren't too good.
she
Big
doesn't really
surprise
want
there.
her own
But
father to
anyway, after
die.
this cutscene is when you start getting bonus chapters for the
Yeah,
children of all the units you've had
which is
marry.
fair.
Aside from Lucina, the only one I'm going to be getting is Morgan. Morgan is Robin's child, and they'll always be the opposite gender of whatever you are. Now, for this chapter, Morgan is in some kind of weird
You should
ice
be able to
castle, and he's being
choose.
attacked by a bunch of Risen. Now, at the start of the battle, he's AI controlled, so his attacks don't break the rules. I decide to leave him alone for this reason, but in my first attempt, he foolishly charges at the enemies and dies. I know that saving him isn't a requirement, and for this challenge, it's pretty pointless, but you know what? He's my son, and I'm not gonna let my son die, even if he's actually just a few lines of code in a video game. So what I do is I get to him as fast as I can so that I can fight off the enemies near him. Once I talk to him, he becomes controllable, so from this point, I can't let him make contact with the enemies. It sounds easy on paper, but this is another one of those maps where the enemies are not only spawning in the staircases, but some of them are flying,
Awakening
and
is
protecting him
mid
from
because
them
it doesn't
isn't
have
that
incest.
easy. Eventually, I figure out that the best way to do this is to hide him in the back of
Ugh.
True. I had to
It's
think
not
about
like,
it for a moment to make sure there was none.
yeah, I was like, maybe we could, okay, maybe if you get like Owain.
No, wait. I wonder what would happen if you marry Crom with someone. They have Lucina. Robin marries Lucina, has Morgan. Morgan marries Owain, who he is now related to, thanks to Lucina being the mom.
Oh, that's hype. That's hype.
Because you can't just do Robin, female Robin, into Crom, because that will make it, I believe, changes. Actually, wait. No, because they're not related. Could you just do female Robin into Crom and then Morgan into... No, because Morgan will be male. Morgan will be male. So it has
Yeah.
to be male Robin. Which those... Yeah, that... I didn't even understand my own logic for a moment, and then I remembered why, yeah.
Yeah, male Robin with
It just depends on their
Lucina.
support. Alright, we're doing research. We're doing field research, alright?
We're doing field research to see if Awakening is Kino. Oh, and Reddit. And Reddit is a suggestion. Let's see.
Thank you, just one gamer.
This guy saved my life.
Yeah, he uploaded every single goddamn support conversation.
Do they have an S rank support?
Yeah.
They do.
They do.
They have an S support. Hey. This game is Kino.
It depends on if it's marriage, because some of them, I know some of the child ones are friendship.
Yeah.
I need to make sure we're doing field research.
Yeah.
This is the S support. This is like the romance music.
Yeah. Oh! Yeah, just like this.
Okay, so on my next Awakening playthrough, this is my one goal.
Aw, how heckin' wholesome.
It's simple.
Oh.
What?
We're back.
Is it gonna be a wedding? I love without context, because I've never gotten their support. I just say.
I never used Owain.
No.
I see.
Darn it. It's not a poem. True!
Huh?
Well,
Oh,
Oh, oh, we're so bad.
he can marry. Okay,
What?
what is their relation? Wait, I need to think. So Crom and Lissa are siblings. Owain
Yeah,
is the child of that, and Morgan would be the grandchild of Crom.
yeah.
So Owain would be her uncle. Owain would be
Her uncle.
her uncle.
That
If
is an
you did that.
A10 Emerald. This is my one goal.
we're in this together.
And you have to make sure, read the S support to make sure they didn't change dialogue in case if they figured someone would do it.
Yeah.
God,
But
that
I
is
mean, it's
so
Fire
funny.
Emblem. I don't think they care about incest.
Hmm?
It
If you can, that is the funniest thing of all time. Oh my
When
god.
I said Owen, I knew I had like I had a that was like my brightest idea ever.
Right.
How heckin' wholesome. This actually seems like it would be nice and it would be sweet, but the problem is we're talking
Yeah,
about the context.
in the context, I wonder if there's a way you can make the bloodline even more fucked.
I
Like
mean, you're adding
who?
the. Not only are you adding the Fell Dragon bloodline into the freaking or if think about it. Okay, I want you to think about it for a moment. You're Crom. You have daughter Lucina, right?
Yeah. Let's say he has a daughter
And
with Muriel.
your daughter from the future marries your best friend.
Yeah.
And then your grandchild marries your nephew.
Marries your nephew. Yeah.
Okay.
Naturally.
Who is the worst? Okay.
Who's like the worst person you can make Lissa marry?
Okay. So Olivia, Sumia, Lissa. Okay, so do you know what the best option for Crom will be?
What?
None of these. You don't get a single support, so he marries the random maiden.
Yeah.
Okay, we get random maiden, which produces the worst Lucina, by the way.
Yeah. Naturally.
Let's go. Lissa. Um, where's supports?
Frederick probably is the worst one.
True, Frederick.
Frederick. Gregor is the worst one. Gregor is by far the worst one.
Dude, the guy's like 40 or 50.
Yeah. But Frederick is like mid-20s. Gregor is like middle-aged.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
Lissa's 16.
Lissa is, yeah. Post time skip though, she's not.
Oh, so it's
She's
fine. It's
barely
fine,
she's
guys. It's fine.
barely 18.
She's
Wow.
very clearly. It's not like she's actually seems like she's 14. And they just
No, totally.
I feel like oh man, it would be
The
so
only
cool if
ethical, the only
do you know
hmm?
how cool it would be if post time skip the characters actually got like it doesn't even need to be major
Different,
redesigns, just like slight redesigns to show
like they got older.
like for example, Rickon and Lissa are like children, so they would clearly age up. And, like, characters can just, like, maybe different outfits, like, changes, like, show that they've
Or like
grown.
change up their hair maybe.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Like I don't know, like maybe like Gaius grows his hair out or something.
Man, I need to. So, all right, I need to like become a big YouTuber so I can like get a bunch of money and then start a mod project with a bunch of people who actually know what they're doing.
That's true.
All right,
Um,
so we
I think the
found it out.
best, the best, the best one for Alyssa, like without this, like the best, most ethical one would be like Donald or
It's
Rickon.
Rickon. Rickon's the most
Yeah,
ethical because they're both
yeah.
they're both children.
I mean, Donald's a child too.
Is he?
Have you seen his face? I don't know. He looks like a kid.
I assumed he was like. Oh, this is just analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no confirm age.
yeah. That's hype.
Wait, does
How old is Emerine? Emerine, or whatever, however he
no
pronounces it.
Emorian or freaking
Marian. Emarian.
Emarian, that's it.
I don't know. Yeah, she's like barely older than Crom, isn't she?
She's older by like 3 years.
Yeah, which is barely because that's like the
Or
minimum
actually, no,
age you can
Crom's
be
like
older than.
21 post time skip, I think. So she's actually older by like 5.
Oh, okay. I really like Crom, by the way. He's a really good character.
He is. I love how we went on this entire tangent. See, we're ethical reactors, all right? We don't just take like
We're
we have
not
our
we're
own
we're not like
insight.
XQC. We're not like
Yeah,
XQC.
but yeah. So the
We
the
wish we could be XQC.
the bloodline though is
You know.
Crom random maiden has Lucina. Lucina marries Robin, which has Morgan, and then Lissa marries Gregor and has Owain, and then Owain and Morgan marry.
That's hype.
It's peak.
Crazy that you can
You
marry
have to
like
wait.
the youngest Fire Emblem Awakening character and the oldest Fire Emblem Awakening character.
The youngest is probably Rickon. I think Rickon's younger than Alyssa.
You think you can marry Rickon and
Now we
Tiki
no Tiki only has I believe 3 supports with like
or
3
and
or no wait Robin so 4. I think she has one with I believe Sayri, Anna, Na, and Robin.
makes sense. Not they don't have one with Naui.
No, only Na.
Okay. That's funny.
It's actually interesting. Na is the only child character who has a support with a first generation character that isn't their parents or Robin.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And their support is actually interesting. They talk about how Na is like the first uh Manakee that's also like half human.
Yeah.
Because previously there'd been no Manakee to had children with humans. Unless
Yep.
if I don't know, you marry Tiki with Robin.
And then you make Morgan a Manakee.
Yep,
Which is cool. My Morgan is um
a Togwell.
Togwell, yeah.
For the enemies to come, while also having someone stand on the staircase.
Wait for the
As
enemies to
long as
what?
someone is on top of the staircase, the
Oh, it's
enemies can't
funny.
spawn in from it.
I know,
Even
I'm
so,
like a
it's
comedic
still pretty
genius if
difficult
you
due to
think
the
about
sheer amount of enemies combined with their ability to fly. It does take a few attempts, but eventually I am able to get them taken care of. Take out the commander, and I reunite with my son.
Crit.
I also get some support convos with him, which is kind of pointless here, but still cool. So for the next chapter, Robin comes up with the plan to rig some of our ships with oil and use them to bomb the enemy fleet. But first,
cover
this
yourself
is
in
general
oil.
of their lead ship.
Story-wise,
this chapter is not hard at all. All you need to do is defeat
Cover
the commander,
yourself
which
in
thankfully is
oil.
easy because this map is tiny. But I do stick around and defeat a few enemies for the experience. Once I beat the commander, we execute the plan and set their fleet on fire. We then go to the harbor.
So I haven't
where,
actually
once again,
gotten
we
to
have
this
more
part of the
enemy
game
troops to
yet.
defeat. In the corner of the map,
Wait, you've
there's
never
a woman
been Awakening?
Nope. I got close.
surrounded by soldiers who we...
What do you mean close? If you say you've never gotten to this part of the game, this is halfway through the game.
Oh yeah, the last time I played was the last time I streamed to you, because then we did the Fates, fucking, the Fates.
Yeah.
Fates
80 HP, by the way, which is max. The
Which
only
is
way to get more HP... Okay, so the max amount of HP that you can have is if you have the HP plus 5 skill, all stats plus 2 skill. I don't think Limit Breaker allows you to get more HP, but if it does, then Limit Breaker, because that makes it so your stat caps can go up by 10. So,
Mm-hmm.
if hypothetically that's true, you can add plus 10 to that, but I'm not sure it is. And then you add one that temporarily boosts your stats by, which the HP one would be 5. So without Limit Breaker, the max is 92 HP. If Limit Breaker actually works, the max is 110 or 102. But without any of that, the max is 80.
This Corrin is
Can
insanely
say, but
tanky.
it doesn't
mean
really
Robin?
seem to matter whether she gets
Oh,
defeated or
Robin,
not.
yeah.
Once again, this map isn't that big, and there are a lot of enemies here, but they're all hopelessly easy. There are also some houses in the back that we can visit for some decent loot.
You like
Once we've
Ice
got all
Tea?
that, we make quick work of the commander and end the battle.
I like how she's talking about how it's easy. 'Cause
You like
is.
Ice Tea?
I like iced tea, yeah.
Well, turns out that the woman we helped is one of the resistance leaders, and she tells us about the dragon that she and her people worship, known today as Tiki, which of course means that the next mission will involve saving her. We go to this giant tree where of course the enemy forces are waiting, but
And
they're
it's
no
the
trouble at all.
military.
We are starting to see some new enemies here, and they are a little tougher than before. And another thing about this stage is how
And it's the
narrow the
best boss
pathways
in the
are.
game.
But it's
Or
still a
second best
very
boss in the
easy
game.
chapter because all we have
I
to
like
do
this guy
is
a
beat
lot.
General Monopoly.
He
What
gets
do you think of
unique
chapter? What do you think of chapter 10 of Conquest?
Chapter 10, Conquest Peak, Cinema.
We get to Tiki, she tells us about the fire emblem and how the 5
Gem.
gemstones were used to defeat
Are you
Grima,
excited
but
to
were
do it
scattered,
without
and we
Camilla?
need to collect them all if we want to beat
Without
her.
Camilla,
She gives
I
us
can do
hers,
it.
meaning we only need 2 more,
Yeah.
but even the gemstones aren't going to
Tony's
solve the
gonna
Walhart problem.
struggle.
This next part of the
by
game
the
has
way.
us fighting a series of battles against Walhart's best
Yeah, I
generals.
need to restart because
now,
I
could
should
sit
play on
here and
hard
lazily
mode. Normal
explain
mode,
it
I
with my
feel it's
boring
just
monotone
gonna be
voice,
too easy
or
now.
I could just show you how it all went through a montage.
Oh, it's epic. This is supposed to be a challenge run, by the way.
I know. Let's look at the comments after.
The comments are, if I remember, some of them are kind of rude, but like most of them were just like, "Well, you literally played it the easiest way possible."
Some fans are toxic. I'm toxic. No place to speak here, but you know. Can you hear me?
And no diff.
Can you hear me?
No, you were cutting out.
Oh, Fire Emblem fans are toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm toxic too, but like, you know.
I'd say Fire Emblem fans have gotten a lot better since like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kron gets a reclass now.
Into what?
Imagine if he made Robin a Dark Flyer, though.
Is Chrome gonna get a third tier class?
No, it's just class changing to Paladin.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
Dark Flyer, Dark Flyer, Dark Flyer, Dark Flyer.
And
It's Dark Flyer.
and it's
Let's
the,
go.
and it's the easiest game ever.
It would have been easier if you did it earlier, but like it's. Oh, the class change in between that also the Great Knight. Great Knight has a better pair-ups bonuses than Paladin, but Paladin also gets a skill that does better with pair-up. So he probably dipped in for that skill, and then yeah. This is Yenfei chapter, by the way, and I was right. It's chapter 18. Let's go.
Yep. And then it's fucking Wallheart.
Yeah. This is an epic montage.
It is epic.
You know,
What wishes he could be the guard is what I'm saying. Okay.
alright, and watch this. He can't be defeated here, so he has to retreat. Oh, you see that? Crom almost died and had to have an elixir.
Do you like Yenfei?
Huh?
Do you like Yenfei?
Yenfei's cool. I knew someone who, like, really liked Yenfei. It was one of her favorite characters. She also really liked Yarn and, Noel. You don't know Noel, though. Because he's from Sacred Stones.
Yeah. I only know the guy who really wants to fuck his dead wife.
Yep. Oh, I
And
haven't been
Luna.
full screening. Wow. Conqueror with those stats? That's weak.
And that is it for the war against Wallheart. But as you'd probably expect, that's not the end of the game. Valadar invites us to his castle, and of
And
course
then
it's
you
a
have the
trap, which
tacked on
means we
bit,
gotta
because we're
fight
like,
him.
oh yeah,
I
Grima's a
think
thing.
you all know the drill by now. Just pair Crom and Robin up, and go through and destroy
That's
everything
the
in your path.
problem with this game, really, is like, the first arc is really good, then you have the Balm arc, which is good, but it's a bit, like, rushed through. Like, I feel like it could have done with some more chapters and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and also it seems very irrelevant to the big threats for the most part. Because, you know, the big threat's Grima. The first arc, you know, you're dealing with, Plegia, which, is directly related to Grima because they worship him. And then you have
Yeah.
Balm, which the closest is that Walhart was planning to deal with Grima. And Walhart would have been a really big threat to Grima. So you taking out Grima was a huge relief to them. Or you taking out Walhart was a huge relief to them, yeah. Um, but yeah, and then at the end it's like, oh, yeah, we need to do Grima, so let's just quickly they need the final stone, so they have it. So boom, they get the fire emblem, then boom, stuff happens. Yeah. It just it feels like the game could have been longer is a problem that it has.
Yeah.
And a
Could they
way to
20 more
transition into the
chapters?
third act better.
They could have added 20 more chapters.
Not
These
even 20
enemies
more
are a bit
chapters.
more powerful than
Like
the
10
Valmese, and Robin's
chapters probably
defenses
could
aren't
have
as
fleshed out
high due to her
everything.
being reclassed as a Dark Flyer,
Yeah.
but as long as she's with Crom, the enemies
Then
don't
it would
do
be like
anywhere
the
near enough
longest
damage
Fire
to kill
Emblem
her.
game.
During the fight, Robin learns Gale Force, which
Uh,
is the main reason I
the
reclassed her to
longest Fire Emblem game it took for me to beat was Radiant Dawn. That took me like 55 hours to beat, I think, on my first playthrough. Not counting
Yeah.
resets, because none of the final playtimes count resets, so Yeah, Radiant Dawn took me the longest to beat out of any Fire Emblem game. Usually Fire Emblem games take me like about 15 to 25 hours to beat, somewhere in that range.
What about BS Fire
A Dark
Emblem?
Flyer. What this
I
does is
haven't
it
played
lets her
BS
move
Fire
again if she
Emblem,
kills an enemy once
unfortunately.
per turn, which in this case pretty much
Math
means she
too.
gets 2 attacks. The
True.
enemies
What
here
do
put
you
up
think our
no
Christmas
challenge at all,
special is
and with
gonna
the
be?
help of this
Wait.
case pretty much means she gets 2 attacks.
We gotta
The
think of
enemies
a
here put up
Halloween
no
special and a
challenge at
Christmas
all, and with the
special.
help of this skill, I am
And a
able to finish
Thanksgiving
this command
special.
very easily.
Canadian Thanksgiving. Or do we do both to maximize content?
Well,
Unfortunately,
We should do
Canada's
both
not a real
Thanksgiving.
country,
Valadar
so
uses his
No,
influence
we
to
gotta
make
do
Robin
both to
give me a
maximize
fire emblem,
content.
complete with all 5
True.
gemstones. That is not good, and in the cutscene afterward, Lucina reveals that Robin is the one who killed Chrom, and because of that, she has to kill us. Although, one thing that is interesting about this cutscene is that normally she'll actually try to kill Robin. However, if Robin is her mother, which is the case here, she doesn't actually go through with it. Just something I thought was a cool touch. This game may not have that great a story, but it does have some great characters. Anyway, I
and
don't
they're wrong. The story. Oh, I was about to say they're level 15. They can
really have
reclass.
any
It's
more
fine.
reason to keep Robin as a Dark Flyer, so I use a second seal to reclass her to a Grandmaster, which is the upgraded form of the Tactician class. I was a little tempted to change her back to a Dark Knight, but I think it's more fitting that I end the game with her as a Grandmaster. Now,
So
going
much
back to the story, as we
optimization.
expected, Valadar is trying to summon Grima, and most of the townspeople don't seem to have too much of a problem with it, so it's up to us to stop it while we can. For the next chapter, I send Chrom and Robin off on their own, but the enemies for this chapter are much more powerful than I was expecting.
Yeah, they
And
all
after
have
being
legendary
surrounded,
weapons.
Robin actually does die to them. I suppose I should have expected that since it is the last stretch of the game, but
Yeah,
talk
all
about the
the
jump in
enemies in this
difficulty.
chapter
So for
have
my next
legendary
attempt, I
weapons.
have
These are
them
like the
pair
dead
up, and now they're
lords.
doing much better. I'm having Robin do
12
most of the
dead
attacking
lords.
due to her magic attack range, and unfortunately, the good weapons I'm getting at this point of the game, while powerful, don't have the best durability, but at least I'm constantly picking up new ones for both
Which
Chrom
appear,
and Robin. As long as these two are together,
they
the
appear
enemies can barely
throughout
put
the
a scratch on
series,
them
like,
thanks to their boosted defense and evasion rates.
some of them.
And once I decide that I picked up enough loot off of the
And by
dead
throughout
enemies,
the series, I mean in
make
like
my way
2
to
or 3
Aversa
games.
and make quick work of her. Once we get into the castle, you may notice that it looks strikingly similar to the area in the tutorial. This map is also divided by a barrier. What's supposed to happen is that only Chrom and Robin can face Valadar, while everyone else is on the other side fighting his minions.
By the way, I want to say something funny. On my first playthrough, since it's like, I thought I was stupid. And I thought, you see, all of my other units are on the other side of the barrier. So what if I just don't bring my units? I don't have to fight the people down there, and I could just kill Valadar with Chrom and Robin. So I only brought Chrom and Robin.
Any other enemies besides Valadar here, so once again, I pair them up, move over to Valadar, and defeat him in one try.
Yeah.
Heed my call. I've got your back.
Grima's truth. Boy.
That was easy. Too easy. Just like in the dream, Valadar uses some weird magic, fails, and then Robin stabs Chrom with her magic laser blade thingy. Things look like they're going in Valadar's favor, but then Nick Fury shows up. Turns out that he not only faked death, but the gemstones he handed Valadar were fake, and Chrom is alive because Robin weakened her magic just before attacking. What this means is that the battle is still going on, and now the barrier has been removed. Valadar is now hiding in the back corner of the map around all his minions, but just like in the last chapter, we can make
I
easy
did this
work
with
of
only
it.
these 4 units because
Basilio
Flavia and
also
Basilia joined.
but the enemies are
And I actually
This
managed
is
to
the
beat
only
them
chapter you get
Valadar
Flavia and Basilio, right?
Valadar, on the
No,
other hand, has much more
there's
HP
2
than he
chapters
initially
after this
did,
one.
but that doesn't stop Chrom from finishing him off in just one hit.
Actually, there's 3, because there's also Endgame. So, yeah, 3 chapters.
So this isn't the final map?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Now, even though Valadar is dead,
You have to fight Grima, don't you?
Yeah.
Can
Do you
we
not want
not finish this video?
spoilers?
I
Okay,
don't want spoilers.
alright. No spoilers. We're not finishing the reaction. It's
No
over.
spoilers. It's
It's
lost media.
over.
It's lost media. Let's look at the comments.
Thanks for watching.
Hold on, let me put my wait,
Oh,
let's
I
read your
commented
comment.
something
Let's
two
read your
years
comment.
ago. 2 years ago.
Something I did for Fire Emblem Echoes. Shout out to Valencia. It's the use only characters that are force recruiters. Hey, it's one of the challenges. You're going to do real challenge. I'm going to try it.
6 over 1 like. The karma of his requires one of the main ways it's first Ising Awakening. I hate to break it to you, no, but it's the strategy in Awakening. The few Final games, it gets easier the less units you use. Pretty sure Crab and Solo literally the game. It beat Crab and Snowball's ridiculously hard. Yes, obviously, Crab and Robin carry the game. It's the same, yeah. Not, yeah. Robin alone could solo the game. TV fair up is one heck of a drug. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's epic.
Maybe
All
Persona
right.
3 Reload without getting bored and falling asleep at your desk.
Sorry, that challenge is just actually impossible.
True.